you doing, guys? It's Nolan. So we're going to go through some charts of interest right at this moment in time. In fact, we've got one particular chart which I'm going to go through in the next couple of minutes, which I think could be a nice little setup which could play out this week. And really got my eyes on that one, so we'll talk about that in a minute. In the meantime, just before I take a look at the charts, just to make sure you are aware that tomorrow 12:30 p.m. and that's GMT, so UK time, we've got CAD news, then we've got some USD news, and then we've got FOMC statement, press conference 6 p.m. 6:30, so quite a news heavy day. You will notice actually that these times are a little bit different to normal. You would see this USD news at 1:30 p.m. UK time and FOMC statements at 7 p.m. UK time. What's actually happened is that the US and Canada have changed their clocks. They've gone forward an hour. We're not due to do that until another 2 weeks, I think, something like that. And then it will go back to normal. So whereas the markets are normally opening 10 p.m. On GMT, they're actually opening and closing at 9 p.m. GMT at the moment. Okay, so that will happen for a couple of weeks. We will change our clocks. We will go forward an hour, and then it'll go back to normal, 10 p.m. opening. Okay, so just in case you're a little bit confused at the moment, that is a little explanation why. And in case you didn't realize as well, you may be looking for daily candles to close at 10 p.m. when in fact they will be closing at 9 p.m. at the moment. Right, so I'm going to start off with dollar yen. Dollar yen's at quite an important monthly level, and we're going back to December 2016, January 2017 here. So this is quite an extreme level, just above that big number 118. So this is the monthly candle. Obviously it's still being printed, 16 days to go, but I'm just showing you that this particular level is, one of interest where potentially we could see this reverse, and we might see some yen strength come into the market. Yen strength would obviously mean a sell-off of USD yen, assuming that the Japanese yen was stronger than the US dollar, of course. Okay, so the yen is always the second part of a currency pair, so we could be seeing yen pairs have a little bit of a turnaround to the downside if this level holds. Now, of course, no level is 100%. We're just looking to the left and almost anticipating that price could start to reverse here. We see some downside. It can, of course, break through, and if we get a monthly close above this level, then I suspect we'll be going for further longs, maybe even into towards 126, but certainly further longs from where we are at the moment. So a monthly close above here, above these highs, would potentially indicate more longs, but we don't know what's going to happen. But we are watching. What we can do is look at time frames, smaller time frames, to try and give us a clue about what's going on. I mean, straight away I'm just going to clone this over. No, that's not what I wanted to do. What I want to do is sync it. There we go. So I mean, straight away I can see that with the moving averages, which is my 20 and my 8, quite a bit of a distance actually from the moving averages. So I mean, just even forgetting this zone, I would be looking for price to pull back into the averages before anything else, if I'm honest with you. But nothing at the moment, and I'll show you on the 1 hour. We're still looking pretty strong. We had this really nice bull run. We had sellers come in, but now we're almost back at these highs here. Now, I did notice something earlier. Don't know whether I can find it now. Yeah. No, I was going to show you something and I can't find what I was going to show you now. But what we can do is, if we want to look for sales, if we are anticipating that price was going to reject, then I'd be looking for price to start trading below that low there. Okay, we saw price drop down. This is where buyers came in and they started pushing it back up. So if we start trading below that level, then that potentially means that we are going to see some downside, and we can start looking for corrections in the market and looking to sell. So you may want to look for moving averages to cross over in a bearish order, for instance. So these are the 8 above the 20, that's bullish on this particular time frame, and if the 8 was below the 20, then we'd be looking for sells. Okay, you can see here we're selling, the 20 is above the 8. Here we're buying, the 8 is above the 20. So what I'd be looking for to sell would be the moving averages to be in the right order. But just taking that away for the moment, you know, what you can look for is price to simply start making a lower low. And then I would expect that level here to be retested, and then looking for sellers to come in again. So I'm looking for a change of cycle basically. So very, very interesting zone. Not ready to sell yet. Okay. People make the mistake of they may listen to a video that myself or one of the other team do, and we will anticipate or we will have a bias as to where we think the market's going to go. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, and it doesn't mean that you should go ahead in that particular market, currency pair, commodity, whatever it is, and just start selling or buying whatever we think is going to happen. You need to see price action agree to what we're saying, or we do, before we would get into the trade. Okay, and you need a strategy. You need a strategy to get into the trade, and you need an exit strategy as well. Okay, where you're going to come out in profit, or where you're going to come out where things are going wrong. Okay, so if you're going to trade, I don't know, you know, you guys could be very experienced, you could be new traders. So if you're a new trader listening to this, okay, if we've got a bias, very important that we see the relevant price action confirming our bias before we start trading. Okay, so cut a long story short, dollar yen is in a big monthly resistance zone, and we could see price start to sell off. Okay, what I'm going to be looking for is a change of cycle, looking for a pullback or correction, then looking for sellers to come in again, and that's when I'll be interested in trading. Okay, so this is what potentially could happen. Now, because of that, because we might see some Japanese yen strength, okay, and that Japanese yen strength means we would see a drop on USD CAD. I'm very, very interested in pound yen. Now, pound yen, we actually sent out a trade last night to our traders. Let me just show you something. Basically, there is a bit of a range going on. We've got our resistance here, or supply zone. We've got our support here, our demand zone, and we've rejected. You can see resistance here. We've moved down. We've rejected here, moved down, found support, moved back up, found resistance again back in this zone, and now we've had you can see an impulse down, a correction, impulse down. We're actually in a downtrend here. So what I am anticipating is that price could again test support within this range. Now, the trade that we sent out to our members was simply, now if I just do that, because that was yesterday's candle as it closed, put some moving averages on, so that's what we were seeing. So what we have is this impulse move away, because we're in a downtrend here. You can see the lower lows, lower highs, impulse move down, correction into the moving averages, and what we did was we placed a sell stop underneath yesterday's daily candle, because what we're trying to do is to try and catch the next move down, because that's what we're anticipating. So this is for, or this was for, end of day traders, and they are traders that cannot trade in the day. They are called intraday traders. Okay, so end of day traders might have a job 8 till 5 or whatever their hours are. They can't look at charts, but they still want to trade. So this is something that would have been placed last night, and it would have either triggered or it wouldn't have. Okay, now as it happens, if we close the replay function down, we can see the price has continued to the upside. So this this trade is invalid now. Well, it certainly will be invalid if it doesn't trigger within the next hour or so, but I could hasten to add that this probably won't trade and will be deleting the order. But now we can basically look at this, and remember we've got dollar yen at resistance, so we could see some yen strength come into the market. So that means pound yen short as long as yen is stronger than the pound. So what we're going to do is potentially place the same trade again, but what we're going to do is place it below today's daily candle with the stop above the high. Obviously you need to look for the candle to close first before you can do that. Okay, before you know where the high is and the low is. I mean, that's probably pretty much how it's going to end up, but we don't know. And then we can look to place a similar trade. Okay, a sell stop below the low, stop above the high. Now for me personally, I love taking half of my money off, half my profits off at 1-to-1, moving my stop to break even, and then going for my second target. So that would be my second target down here. First target will be 1-to-1. So that is something which we may take later on. And hopefully you can see all we're doing is we are trading with the current momentum in the market. Yes, the momentum here is bullish, but we're looking at that as a correction in the market, and we're also looking at dollar yen, which is at a monthly resistance level where we could see price start to drop. So this makes sense, and if this one trade comes off, then potentially, that is, listen, one trade like this, all you need is that a week, and if you can do that week in, week out, almost cherry picking the kind of best trading setups, if you like. If you can do that week in, week out, and make even 1% a week is actually a brilliant result, believe it or not. So if you can do that, then fantastic. So that is something which we may be looking at tonight, and we may send that out to our traders. Aussie Cad, let me just have a little look at Aussie Cad, because Aussie Cad, now this is a pair which isn't doing what I certainly anticipated it to do. So I may have to change my thinking, if you like, about how I am going to trade this, if I want to trade it at all, because this was a currency pair that we traded quite a few times because it was in a descending channel. We've got depending on where you want to draw it, because trend lines are what we call subjective, so that trend line would be correct connecting this high, this high, this high, and this is a false break. You may want to have price totally contained within the wicks. They're all kind of correct in their own way. We also had some support down here, and basically we were trading the when price came up into resistance, we were looking to short. When price came into support, we were looking to buy. And we were looking for price to start to move down here at resistance for another move down. Didn't happen, broke out, so there was no trade for us. Now what I was looking for was price to come back, retest the top of this channel, and potentially reject, because price has broken out, it's formed a higher high. That would make sense to me. Now price has actually started to move back within the channel. So is this a false break? Could be. I'm just going to put some moving averages on for a second, the daily. I'm going to take off this channel now. I'm an avid fan of reading price, and you got to look at these candles. These 1, 2, 3 daily candles, and they are very, very bearish, as you can see. Okay, look at the size of the candles as well. There's a lot of momentum there. Now, it could be that price is going to start to drop. It may even form an inverse head and shoulder pattern where we've got this left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Who knows? We don't know. But at the moment, the moving averages are bullish on the daily. So ideally, what I'll be looking for to start trading this short is the moving averages to cross over. Okay, so they're still in the bullish order. If this continues down, the moving averages will cross over. I'll look for a pullback into the averages, and then I'm looking to go short. But at the moment, those moving averages are bullish. Now, if tomorrow, just as a matter of interest, because we have CAD news, we might get a morning star pattern, which is a 3 candlestick pattern. We may have a bullish candle which closes you know, maybe even above 93, who knows, but we might get a morning star pattern. And if we do, then potentially this was a correction, a pullback, and we are going to go long. So what another kind of example of, you know, this is what we thought was going to happen. It hasn't happened, and now we're trying to identify what actually is happening. And sometimes you just have to wait a little while for the market to play out to give you clues. Now, at the moment, any sells on this really would be counter trend trading, and they are possible. You know, you'd have to go down into the 4-hour, 1-hour time frame, and as you can see, because these daily candles are all bearish, well, there was opportunities potentially on a smaller time frame. This is the hourly to get short, but you can do that as long as you are aware that you are basically counter trend trading, because this momentum is telling us that buyers are in charge. But are we changing trend? Are we going to start to see sellers in charge of the market? It looks like we are, I've got to admit, but I need to see further price action just to confirm. So this is one of those where, you know, at the beginning of the week, I knew what I was looking for. It hasn't happened. And because it hasn't happened, because I haven't had the price action to confirm my bias, there have been no trades. I've not traded this. And that's really, really, you know, the kind of the fundamental thing about having your bias. It's okay to have that, but you need to see the right price action, or price action agree to your strategy rules before you start to enter the trade. Okay, please don't take anything that I say or anybody else says as 100% fact, because at the end of the day, the markets are random. Okay, they can do whatever they want to, and we're just basically, you know, looking at the best charts, anticipating what's going to happen, and if that does happen, then fantastic. We'll look to get into the trade. We'll trade it, simple as that. But if something else happens, then we either change our bias or we just walk away and we start to look at something else. So this is just something that we actually sent out on our watch list, and actually looking for that retest of resistance and then potentially looking to go long. But we've retested, we've rejected at the moment, and it's looking pretty bearish to me, but I'm going to wait for further confirmation before I start to get short on this. I want to see that daily time frame start to have more of a push down, a pullback, and another rejection before I start getting short on this. Okay, so that's Aussie Cad. So especially if you've seen, sometimes we post free analysis in our Telegram channel, and if you did see Aussie Cad, I'm not too sure whether we posted it then, that kind of analysis or our thoughts are kind of wrong. Okay, they haven't played out. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this one, but there's nothing worth trading at the moment. But for me, pound yen at the moment is very, very interesting. That is probably one of the hottest charts on my personal watch list. Silver. So this is getting close to my area of interest where I want to buy. I think I talked about this chart in one of my last videos. Might have been last week, I'm not too sure, but just keep your eyes on this because it's playing out. We've got this big range here between 21, we'll call it 21 and a half, 21.5, we'll call it that, and 28, 28 and a half. And I've had this range, drawn out since late last year, and I'm looking for it to play out still. So I had this lovely push up, impulse of buyers breaking this high. You can put a fib on there if you wanted to. And we've had this lovely impulse, and now I'm looking for price to pull back. Look where that target is, right in the zone here. Now we've got some fib levels here, 24.48 and 23.89 potentially. So what is interesting me is these lows here. You can see I've drawn the zone out. So this 24 big number, potentially I'm looking for price to come back into this zone, reject, and then looking for longs all the way up into the range resistance. Now, if we are going to agree with the fibs, if we're going to respect the fibs, then potentially we could come and test that 61.8. So a little push below 24. I mean, the low on this candle was 23.78. Here we're talking 23.89. I'm actually going to drop my alert a bit lower down, actually close to this 61.8% fib. I'm going to put a little note there. Look for a reversal because I'm looking for buyers to come in there. And remember, this is on a weekly time frame, so we'll be looking on the daily, looking for a morning star pattern, for instance. Potentially we could even go down to the 4-hour or the 1-hour and start to look for smaller changes of cycle there. But this is the great things about alerts, or the great thing about alerts. If you've got an area where you're interested to trade from, buy or sell, then simple, you just set that alert, walk away, and when the alert goes off, you know that price is in an area where you're interested in trading from. So that's all I'm going to do on that one, really. I will, the alert is set. I will have a look at it every day just to see what it's doing, but I can see further downside potentially on silver into that zone where I'm expecting buyers to come in, and then we could looking for a big push into resistance over the summer. So further shorts potentially into this zone, and we can actually see here, if I just show you 1 hour, we've got some nice selling going on. We can put some moving averages on as well. Yeah, those 1 hour averages are looking pretty nice actually. I like to use the 20, the 50, the 20, and the 8. They're actually opening up very nicely at the moment, and we're getting a little bit of a pullback. Looking at this, 25.4 just without the averages. 25.4 looks like a decent area to look to go short from here into the sell zone. Let's just show you that because that was support broke. Now there was a little retest here on the hourly, but I'll be looking for another retest here and then potentially short. So have alerts set around here. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Just going to type a little note for me. H1 short zone. So, I know exactly what I'm looking at. So I know that I'm looking at H1 because that was support, and it's a potential area where we could be looking for a short. So if I see something like this evening star pattern on an hourly, brilliant. I'm going to potentially go for a sell there. One more chart of interest, and it's something we've actually been trading today as it happens, is the Nasdaq. I think Mark talked about it in yesterday's video as well. Now this is a bearish market at the moment on the daily time frame. On the bigger time frames, the monthly, weekly, monthly, like pretty much all indices, they are bullish markets, okay? But they do have times when you do see corrections. This was quite a big correction here, as you can see. This is when COVID kind of hit the headlines back in 2020. The market just dropped, and then look how it's recovered. It broke the high and it's just continued on. Absolutely crazy, absolutely amazing. So, you know, probability says that if you're going to trade something like this, then odds are that you should be looking to buy. The probability is in your favor to be buying. Now, you're thinking, well, okay, well, this is obviously moving to the downside at the moment, but I don't expect this move to continue forever. I am, you know, looking for buy setups, because basically I'm just looking for this as a correction, just like this, then looking for buyers to come in, and then potentially, you know, we're going to break 1700. We're going to make all-time highs on this. So I am very, very interested in looking for buyers. Now, you got a couple of options here. You know, you can potentially look for break of this trend line. You know, look for the daily and the 4-hour potentially. I would say the daily actually, to start producing higher highs, higher lows, moving averages to be in the right order to then start going long. If you're very not advanced, but a little bit more of an aggressive way, is to look for changes of cycles on the very smaller time frames. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to catch that momentum, and then it could be the start of that next big move. Okay, so we actually traded this on the, this says the hourly time frame. We traded on the 15-minute earlier on, and we're still in this trade now. We've actually, our targets were 1% and 2%, or 1 to 1 and 2 to 1, I should say. We've backed half at 1 to 1. Our stops are at break even down here, and we're looking for that 2 to 1 target. Now, anyone that wants to hold a portion of this trade might want to do that, because it could actually be the start of the next impulse on the weekly and the monthly to the upside. But that will be down to each trader. You know, if you can make 1%, 2% on a trade, you've done a really good job. So I'll just show you, you know, how we took the trade. We've got our 15-minute trend line here. Let's just put some averages on. You can see that we broke the trend line, and these three averages all came into the right order, with the 8 above the 20, 20 above the 50, anticipating that price was then going to continue to the upside. Moving averages in the right order, price had broken the trend line. Price came into this little zone here where the 20 moving average is, and we just sent out a signal to buy live at market. Stops underneath this low, and then we've got our targets of 1 to 1 and 2 to 1. Really, really simple stuff. Because also, I'll just show you on the daily. You know, price was a little bit extended from the moving averages. We were looking for that pullback towards the moving average. You can see that's where our 2% target is here, back just under that 8 moving average. Now, for me, I'm looking at this daily time frame, and you know, the impulses to the downside are looking pretty weak. You know, you can see this impulse here. That was a pretty strong impulse. Then we've had another move down here. Now we've had a shorter impulse here. This market, for me, is running out of sellers. Okay, running out of sellers. So keep your eyes on this, because this potentially could be starting to change trend any day now. We don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, but for me, that selling pressure, that selling momentum is really starting to die out. And again, you know, that's just reading price action and, you know, looking what's happening. Let me just see if there's any MACD divergence. I mean, I haven't really looked. Okay, this is the MACD. And this is kind of agreeing with what I'm saying. We've got a low here and a low here. We've got a lower low here, but a higher low there. And you can see that momentum is basically, if I get an arrow, yeah, that'll do. We've got our lower lows here, but we've got our higher lows here. So there's a disagreement with what price is doing and what the MACD is saying. So this is potentially also telling me that this momentum to the downside is running out of steam. It doesn't mean that we just start buying. You know, you have to have a strategy, etc., etc. But it's just giving us a kind of a heads up that what potentially is happening. But I can see that anyway just through price action. So keep your eyes on this, guys. This looks like it could get interesting. And once this starts going long, you know, we're talking weekly impulses, and literally there could be a lot of buy setups in this. So this could be very, very interesting indeed. So keep your eyes on Nasdaq. But for me, one of the hot charts is pound yen. Now, whether you want to trade this intraday, I would suggest actually if you're going to trade this intraday, then you might want to keep your eyes on all of the yen pairs, because they probably would all start to drop. Started seeing Swiss yen drop, but we might see all yen pairs drop or negative on the day if we see yen strength throughout the market. Okay, if you see that, then we can look to go short. If you're an end of day trader, then a trade for you to consider is a sell stop below today's low with a stop above the high. Okay, please, if you are going to take that trade, please make sure you understand it. Please make sure you are happy with it. Please use appropriate risk management. This video is basically for educational purposes, but you know, this is a trade that we may take later on. We may not. We will see. But have a little look at it. See what you think. If it agrees with your rules and you're happy with it, okay, then you may think about taking it. Always use a stop loss. Always use appropriate risk management. Not really looking for any more risk than 1% of your capital per trade. That's really important, guys. Don't just be picking numbers out of thin air. Okay, you need to calculate 1% of your capital. Okay, if you got £10,000, you're looking at risking £100 and no more. Okay, so that's it from me. Have a great rest of your evening, and don't forget we've got FOMC tomorrow and some USD CAD news as well in the afternoon. I will see you in the next video that I do for you guys, probably on Thursday this week. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. I will see you very, very soon. Bye for now.